All right, thank you for joining us for Christy's Creations today. I'm excited for the chance to show you what I'm doing. I'm embarking on an adventure to paint the captain's wheel, the seahorse, and my sign that says breathe. They're all going to go in my classroom, and I just wanted them to be beautiful and colorful. So this first one I've made with a cup full of a variety of colors. It looks like I did a lot of metallics in this one. So I have a gold, I have black, I have a reddish copper, and I'm just going to do them in sort of a swirly fashion to cover up the whole thing. Now, I made this cup with the intention of covering the entire captain's wheel and having some left to drip onto the canvas. You can see that I have a canvas underneath, and my thought was that I would do each painting and then tilt them onto the canvas and then use that paint to make my own painting. So as I tilt, you can see that most of the paint is spreading around well. There are a few spots that I seem to have run out of paint, and so I'm going to take some of that paint off the canvas and just wipe my fingers across those areas that are not done. You can see I used a little cookie cutter there, and I attempted to sort of dip the edge of that in, but it was a little bit difficult. So once again, I'm just using my fingers to make sure that the entire piece of wood there is covered. And I find that if I dab onto it, that's the easiest way to get it covered and have it look more natural and flow to where I want it to be. So I'm just going to take that off the canvas now, put it onto a metal tray, and move it out of the way. I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. You can see the beautiful copper and the gold all over it. It's all just beautiful striations of color. Okay, so the next thing in my plan is, even though the seahorse is sitting there, I was going to do the breathe sign next. So I'm just going to wash my fingers off a little bit and then exchange out the breathe sign for the seahorse. I thought it would be really cool to do the seahorse last, because it's going to have some pretty oranges and golds that might look pretty on the others. So on the breathe sign, once again, I have that cookie cutter underneath, and this cup is mostly blues. It has a little bit of green, it has a little bit of purple right there on the top, you can see, and I'm using a similar technique to just try to cover up and make kind of a fun texture on this sign. I wanted it to have the feeling of just being light and full of air, almost like when you look at it, you just want to breathe. And I feel like I accomplished that. These blues together just made a beautiful painting. So the one thing I forgot to take into account was that I would have the sides of that breathe sign, which is about 1/2 inch or so wide, that I would need to cover too. So it takes a little longer than I expected, but you can see that the white now is coming out of the bottom of the cup, and it's making quite a cool addition to the painting itself. So right here at the end, I'm just going to be touching it up with my finger again, as I did before, making sure I'm getting everything out of the cup, and you can see how it's running off the wood and onto the canvas. So beautiful. Just the white and the blue, all those different blues starting to mix together and make some just beautiful colors and almost like the ocean. I love how that purple is there on the bee. It's just those beautiful lines that that make it lovely. Okay, now to move that one and get to the third one. But before I get to the third one, I'm going to pour a little bit of extra white paint on there. I didn't cover my canvas originally with paint because I didn't know how much I would really have on top of, you know, what had dripped off. And I really don't like to waste paint too much, and hence one reason why I'm doing it this way on top of a canvas. So it's best if you can get the paint to, you know, kiss up to the paint that you already have there. That's why you see me using my finger to connect it, and that helps it to flow off the canvas. So I'm just going to tilt it in various directions. You can see that sometimes it's a little hard for you to see, and so I attempt to turn that canvas around a bit, but having it connect and also cover the sides of the canvas is sometimes tricky. You just don't have a lot of control over it, and so you can see me creating an earthquake here, trying to get those paints to move off the canvas. Maybe there still wasn't quite enough paint, but it seems to be moving, and so there we go, still with the earthquake movements and a little bit going onto the table there. But that's what we expect when we do one of these pour paints. Let me get that edge just to make sure that it's able to flow off there, and then this part, you know, we're going to mostly get it to flow, you know, down there to the south into those more golden brown wood colors. I was kind of hoping that I would lose a good bit of those wood colors as I tilted, but they don't seem to be wanting to move. I just love that valley though. Can you see that cool valley that's happening right there on the edge, right there through the middle of that brown side? It's really pretty. And I know you can't see it too well, but that blue side is continuing to flow down. Even though it looks kind of messy right now there on the edge of the brown, I know that when I do the third painting, it's going to move that way, and I'll be able to continue to cover up that edge. So we'll wash our hands, and then we'll get to doing the next, the third painting, which is that seahorse. I just love doing these paintings because they give so much texture, and I've had so many people comment on the different colors that are included in the painting. So there we go. I'm contemplating which of the forms shapes I'm going to put underneath, and I decided on that one. So this one is more of a seahorse color. I'm picturing some yellows, some copper, some rose gold, a little bit of metallic red. And you can see that I'm moving sort of from side to side, and once again in that circular fashion, so that it doesn't touch the canvas on one side or the other. So I'm going to just go ahead and hold this side because that side is getting kind of heavy, and I want to be sure that it doesn't fall onto the canvas. Moving my finger underneath the seahorse now because it's getting heavy on that end, and watching it sort of drip off the seahorse. Go ahead and finishing up my cup so that it's I use it all up, and just giving it a moment here to drip off the canvas. So at this point, I hope you're enjoying this. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We're having a good time painting, and I'm going to be sharing lots of valuable tips to help you just create a wonderful life. And so at this point in my painting, I decided I wanted to get out the torch and see if I could get any cool bubbles to pop up, or sometimes they're called cells. You can see we're doing a little bit of a close-up there, and nothing's happening. No cells are popping up, even though I put a million metallics into my paint. So at this point, we're just going to move our seahorse, and we will go to completing the remainder of the painting. Okay, isn't that a cool shape that that it made as it dripped off the seahorse? Okay, so I love that blue. I love all the striations. It looks like clouds and some really fun stuff. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to do what's called wrecking the pour. And that is when you take your stick and you just sort of make some lines through your pour, through the shapes in your pour. And so I'm just going to do that a little bit. Also, I'm noticing here that there's a chunk. Sometimes the Floetrol that I mix the paint with has some chunks in it. And so I have to get that off. Otherwise, it will just like slide off the canvas and make it look really ugly. So let's begin tilting. Okay, you can see that the beautiful color that's part of the seahorse going down toward the bottom where I said that I wanted to cover up that blue that I had put on there. So it is heading that way, starting to go toward the edge and off the corner. The best thing is to, organically have it go off the corner and not necessarily, be painting those with your fingers. And so that's what I was attempting to do there. At the same time, I love that blue on the canvas, and so I let some of that brown go in favor of the beautiful blue. I love the contrast too of the red and the blue together, and some of that purple that's off the edge that came at the beginning of that blue painting. I don't know if you remember that. So now I'm noticing some of the sides aren't quite done, so I'm tilting them that direction. The other thing I'm not liking too much about this right now is that big white section there that's near me. And so as I move forward, I'm just going to tilt that down so that some of that red will come down and fill in some of that white space. It looks like it's going to take a little bit of encouragement, but that's okay. So go ahead and like and subscribe to my page. I want you to notice in just a second, I'm going to have a big surprise. So I hope that you are watching very carefully. There's going to be a surprise happening right here at the end, and it was actually really frustrating for me. Unfortunately, you don't get to see how I resolve it. But I'm just going to do a lot of tilting to try and resolve the surprise. So I think I've got enough of that white filled in that it doesn't look too overwhelming anymore. So now I'm just going to put down my canvas, and here comes the surprise. Are you ready? Oh, that's not the surprise. I decided to just sort of lengthen out those little orange drips that dripped on. Oh, did you see the surprise? Oh, I was so sad. The plastic went up onto my painting, so I was forced to tilt it. Can you see now that I tilted a lot of the blue off to cover the canvas where the plastic had touched it? So unfortunately there's not as much, but it's really cool how the blue and the reds are mixed now, and I'm excited about the way this turned out. Like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to have many more coming, and I know you're going to want to see what happens next. Have a great day.